Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Baked HR. I am Jasmine here with my Baked HR co-host, Christina. How are you doing on this a little chilly Monday, Christina?
Oh my gosh, the temperature totally dropped on us today. I am, listen, I'm doing fantastic. You can't tell me nothing this week. You can't tell me nothing this week.
All
So
right.
I'm doing great, just great. And I'm super, super, super excited for us to record together tonight because I have been on the edge of my seat since last night whenever we did our Instagram live. And you did like a little teaser for the video we were going to record tonight about telling us about a picture you found at work one time. And everyone was trying to guess nudes, and you said it's not a nude. So, what could it be? Tell us the story.
All right, so tonight's topic, if you follow us on Instagram, and if you don't, like, what are you waiting on? We asked
Rude. Go follow us.
we asked the question maybe a week ago. We asked people to give us their stories about toxic workplaces, the toxic environment that you experience at work. And so tonight we're going to tackle just a few of the responses that we got because we received so many. At first, we both thought that we weren't getting responses because we didn't know how to work the Instagram and we didn't know where they were going. But it turns out we got a lot. So we're tackling some of those today, but I'm going to start with a toxic workplace experience that I went through. So we were talking last night, like you said, and I left a little tease about the type of picture that I found. So one day I was at work and I was going through the company photo albums, and this is where people just like companies keep pictures of what they've done in the past, picnics, holiday events, those type of things. So I was going through it and I found a picture of an employee in blackface.
No.
Yes.
I would have liked this story better if it was nudes.
Yeah.
Like a full nude in the company like history picnic thing photo album, which first of all I think this whole thing is weird. It's weird. they have just like a photo album or whatever, but so you're going how long ago who hadn't thought to like take that photo out even if they didn't know it was not good when they first did it? Who the let me collect myself. What did you do when you saw this photo?
You know how you do like a double take of like, am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing? And so I didn't know how to process it, honestly, because it was an environment that I didn't feel comfortable bringing it up. I didn't feel comfortable talking about it. Like, as far as I knew, I was the only person at that point in time when I found it, the only person that really knew about it because I was the only person that really looked through the photo albums. Um, so it was something that like I just kind of kept to myself. I didn't want to have a conversation with it about leadership about it. I
Yeah.
didn't want to hear an excuse, even if it wasn't, I'm sorry, this is something that we need to address. Um, I'm still at the point where I don't necessarily want to be that person having that conversation with leadership because it's certain things that I feel like leadership should know, even back then, that wasn't something that was acceptable for someone to come in and have on for a costume party. Like, so that wasn't a conversation that I wanted to have. So essentially, I did nothing with it. Um, I knew it was there. It was always in the back of my mind that it was there, but I
Yeah.
didn't do anything with it.
So, well, I think like it's not, and I could be wrong, but I don't think it's your responsibility to like have to do like a follow up or anything on it, even though like you were in HR. Kind of like we were talking with one of our friends last night, and she works in HR, and she was saying that she doesn't have a problem letting people know I'm a Black woman first, and then I'm your HR. And so I think that it's totally fair to let you react in who you are first and not have to put on your HR hat to deal with every damn problem of an organization, especially like it's 2021 now. And I just think that there are so many things that we shouldn't have to explain over and over and over again. And that is an example of one of those things, because like you said, there were literally examples of that in the media, and not just like local media, like nationwide stuff that people, you can't tell me you didn't see. You can't, is your head under a rock for real? Because it's on every platform, on every outlet, talked about at the water cooler, like, this is not okay. So take action as leadership and do the right thing, or stop wondering why your turnover is crap and you can't change the makeup of your organization, and you can't reach your goals. And I don't know another way to say it to leadership. So I don't think that you had to do anything. And I think that it must have been really shitty to be at work and find that, and not even that it happened, but no one has removed it from those historical, photo books or documents or whatever. So that sucks.
That's right. Cause I feel like that's something that you would remember an employee doing that, especially for, an organization that's not that large. I definitely feel like that's something that you would remember having on tap in your photo album. So that was my experience of a toxic workplace. There are other stories, but that one was one that has stayed with me just because of the situation of what it was. But like we said earlier, we got some responses in the Instagram that we're going to talk about a few of them and just give you all a quick overview of how is this toxic? Why is this toxic in the workplace? So the first one that we're going to bring to light, someone responded and said they felt on edge all the time and felt sick at the thought of going back to work after time off. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that one.
Okay, so I want to back up. I feel like I'm really sorry that you experienced that at work, and that needs to be said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all of the responses that we got. I said last night, like, going through this exercise really broke my heart, and not a lot of things break my heart, and that's not an overstatement or understatement or whatever. I'm pretty stone cold over here. I can't imagine, like, here, I have this theory, Jasmine, before we deep dive into this. I have this theory, and I think back to when I would go do Hill visits with our local HR group. And we have a really good legislative team here in the state. And we've always done a great job with advocacy when it comes to like employment legislation and stuff like that. We all know E-Verify forwards, backwards, sideways, and upside down, but whatever. Gosh, I'll never get over that. But we would constantly have conversations about employment legislation that was coming down the pipeline that could hurt the good players. It was meant to, keep the bad players from being bad players. And it was going to ultimately impose some kind of restriction on a good player where they were just trying to go above and beyond for their employees. But I think that we would say things like bad players are always going to find a way to be bad players. And I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think that's just like a general rule for life. But I have been putting a lot of thought into this lately. And I think that we have so much tied to our employment that that's what enables this shit to still go on, because people are in positions where leadership expects you to keep coming back to work because they know you have a family to provide for, right? That your family is covered by health benefits that you get at that job. You know what I mean? That it's not just your health benefits, but your 401k. Your 401k is tied to that job, and you want to be able to retire one day. So you're going to have to keep coming back for the next 10 years and put up with their bullshit. And there's just so much that's provided to you through the channel of your employer that as long as they feel like they have the upper hand, some people are never going to change the way they run their companies, and they're never going to address toxic crap like this. Can you imagine? What do? You have an employee that is like physically ill about work. Physically ill about work. What can you do when you are physically ill all the time? Not much.
Because actually it's going to lead to even more situations where people are saying, oh, well, that person isn't working because maybe like if they're getting sick, they're having to use the restroom a lot. If they're just tired, because sometimes you can be surprised at how tired a job makes you. And then once you change and you're no longer at that job, and it feels just like you're still tired, but you're tired for all of the right reasons. And it's just like the halo effect, like, that's what I've been looking for.
This huge weight has literally been lifted off of your shoulders. So it's not this like internal physical, I don't want to get out of bed tired. It's like, holy cow, I worked my tail off for our employees today tired. It's different. It is different. It can be different. But like that physically ill, I was talking to a woman today who was telling me about a previous situation that she had been in where she was so stressed out all the time. She developed migraines, and she dealt with migraines for like 3 years. And that one time she had a migraine so bad, she was going to the doctor and had called out from work. And by the time she got to the doctor, her blood pressure was like at stroke level. And she was like, I knew in that moment I had to step back. I didn't have a choice. If I was going to be homeless, then I had to be homeless, but I could not keep going back to that job.
That's scary to think that you could die because of your job. And I mean, I don't mean like an accident at work, but your job is stressing you so much that you're getting put in the hospital, knocking on death's door, and your doctor is like, you have to change something.
And then that something turns out to be how you provide for your family and how you keep a roof over your head. How screwed up is that?
Like, yes, how are we allowing it for these organizations to be this horrible for people who they are supposedly, we have your best interest at heart, and we're, you know,
don't say it. Don't say the F word. Because listen, you know what? My family be stressing me out for real anyway. So that's why I don't need a work family, because my real family already stresses me out. Not my immediate family, Mike said, you know. Never mind. Justin never watches this full video, I don't think. Oh no, that's not true. He does. But I'm not talking about him. Like I'm literally like talking about the rest of my family.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that in that moment, it's a very difficult decision to have to make to choose yourself over how you provide for yourself. Now, I'll say this, you know, I've been in, you know, a toxic situation where, and we'll cover it one day. But, you know, I was afraid to walk away from it because it was such a huge portion of our income, and you know, whatever. So it all played out. I wasn't there anymore. and I was unemployed for like, a few days. And I'm like, okay, I gotta sell my car because I just bought a new car. I gotta sell my car. And my friend Michelle was like, no, I'll make your car payment. You're not selling your car. Just get up and start looking for work. And at the time, the economy wasn't great. It was near the holidays. So I was like getting nowhere with applications, right? No one was hiring. And I was just like, you know what? I don't live far from a Red Lobster, and I waited tables in college and high school, and I made a lot of money at it. I'm good at it for whatever reason. And I ended up getting a job at Red Lobster. And when I tell you, serving up cheddar biscuits brought me so much joy that I hadn't had in a year, it really put into perspective for me that, yeah, maybe I want to provide for my family in this type of role that I was in, which felt like a professional role, which felt like a big girl job, which I try to remember that I had joy when I was waiting tables, even though it was a very humbling experience for me to go from what I was doing back to waiting tables. So sometimes it's okay. Don't let anyone make you feel like you can't do something like that while you figure out what's next. Because obviously, 10 years later, I'm not still at Red Lobster, but I survived because I was able to rediscover joy in a role that I thought I would never do again. Never. But sometimes, those toxic places, they will push you into corners you didn't think you were going to ever revisit.
Right. And that's why, and we talked about this on the 2-week episode, I think, that's why you also built up that FU fund for later on down the life, had it,
Yes.
if it was ever needed. You also have that. But yeah, don't it's hard to go back to a job that you've done before. It's hard to feel like you finally, we like to say are adulting in life, and then something happens. But you're still adulting. You're still making sure that your bills are paid. You're still providing for your family. And that brought joy, because sometimes it's so bad in the toxic workplace that you all need to walk away. And that's hard to say, especially right now. Like, even me, jumping from one job to another in the middle of COVID, that's scary. So we understand that leaving a toxic workplace is hard. Leaving a workplace in general that is paying your bills, and sometimes, unfortunately, everyone cannot do that, and some people have to stick it out. But this again also lets you know, with all of these responses that we've got, you're not alone, and we just need you all to continue fighting and to keep going for yourself, not for this organization, but for yourself. And then we can get you, to bigger and better things. And shout out to Michelle. Like, that's having a dope ass friend that somebody is going to.
You know what? That's so true. And I'm going to tell you something. Michelle knows me like super well too. So she also knows that that's the kind of shit that would be like, because I'm over here like, nah, ain't no one paying my bills. I'm gonna go make my car payment then, And she was like, you did exactly what I thought you would do when I said that. But I also know that had I not found something still, she would have made that car payment. She would have. But yeah, the FU fund definitely plays. But say all of that to say, Jasmine's exactly right. Like, sometimes you can't leave. I get that. But if you need something, if you need anything, if you just need to talk to somebody about what the hell is going on, you send us an email and one of us will call you. We will make ourselves available and we will call you, because this has got to go. And in 2021, we are not trying to remain in toxic workplaces. We are going to thrive. We're not doing this nonsense anymore. So
we vent and yell about crappy bosses and crappy workplaces. So if you just need to scream about it, we got you.
For sure. But we are not sacrificing our health for it anymore. So I think we actually got that from a couple of different people about some kind of, ailments, some kind of physical ailments that were caused from work. We did a really good 2-part series with Tamara Raspberry. You guys need to go check out if this is you for real, where we walk through some mental health and how to approach, taking care of your mental health. And I'll just tell y'all, therapy is good. Therapy is good. So if you need help figuring out how to start therapy, you can send us an email and we'll try to help you research therapists too, because I know that is a very overwhelming feeling, but we cannot be out here sacrificing our physical health for these crazy jobs. We can't do it.
So talking about can't sacrifice our mental health for these crazy jobs, this next one that we're going to talk about really quick is also interesting. And it said leadership couldn't get along and used HR as a go-between. So
I didn't submit it, but I could have. I could have. And I'm going to tell you, no matter what size organization it is, that is always super awkward. So I worked somewhere where there were multiple owners, and like some of the owners got along just fine. Mm-hmm. 2 of the owners could not. And so if there was ever any kind of communication, like HR's being copied on it, or HR's getting a call, will you call blah, 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 and tell him this? Well, will you tell him blah, blah, blah? And I was like, very early on.
Grow up and be, grown-ups about this and call each other. Can we, or get a lawyer involved, get anyone besides me involved.
I'm going to tell you this. This is my advice. And I don't know how it's going to work out for you. I can tell you how it worked out for me. There was like a gnat or something right there. What's going on? I said, y'all have stake in the company. I do not have stake in the company. I am not equipped to mediate. I'm not interested in mediating. Leave me out of your shit. I said that. I literally said that. And I never got another email or phone call. Never got another email or phone call to go back and forth between leadership. Neither one of you get to hide behind HR. HR wants y'all to get your shit together and get along. You know what I mean? Like I have this whole story about like when I got my first job, and then like my high school nemesis got a job at the same place, and it's a small place. So sometimes it was just me and her on a shift. And I was like, if we can figure that out, y'all grown folks who are literally invested in the company can figure it out. Don't put your HR people in between. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That you should be embarrassed. As leadership, you should be embarrassed that you have to do that.
And that's the thing, leadership is always talking about how we have to get along and we have to, work together as these great teams. And at the end of the day, it's all for the company. Okay, well, what you doing?
Because we're all working towards the same goals.
Are we? It don't seem like you're doing it.
Listen, and I always joke about that scene from Remember the Titans where they like get into it and he says, attitude reflects leadership, Captain. Anytime there's drama in a place where, the leadership has to have HR like be the go-between, mm-hmm. That would just be my canned response. Like, you think everyone else is going to have it together when you guys can't have it together?
No.
Because they're not, because they're going to see that as not important. It's not a value. It's not part of the value system at this company that we communicate respectfully and work towards business goals and make business decisions. If the owners or leadership, whatever the roles are, I don't think we were told what the roles were, can't work together as a team like that. Like whatever happens at this level needs to reflect whatever your company values, mission, goals, all that stuff is. And if it doesn't, you can't slap HR in the middle of it and think that that's going to cover it up or that's going to fix it or that's going to be motivator for them to get everyone else to buy in. Like you literally have to be the example.
You have to be.
But I would also go ahead.
No, I was going to say you have to be the grown-ups that you claim that you're paying everyone else to be.
Right. I see my idiot self would probably ignore that as a red flag. But that's one of those examples where I was like, let me see how red the flag will get for me personally. Okay. Because I was like, that's probably a red flag that those two won't talk to each other. But I let it go. And then when I got involved, I put my foot down and then they like immediately put me back out of it. Though recently I learned how it's being handled now and I'm like, holy shit, but whatever. I think that leadership can have a disagreement and maybe like HR needs to be a part, but it can't be an ongoing thing.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be an ongoing thing. And you can't think that managing that conflict through your HR is going to be positive for that HR person and positive for them to be a champion of your organization, especially if they are involved in recruiting. Because like, do you want to be the person responsible for recruiting people over here when this is what's going on up here at leadership? Like, so it's just, a bigger impact than whatever is just like happening right in front of your face. And so like, that sucks.
Yeah. And I think it can't be, especially if you want HR to be your go-between when it's not even like a work issue. Like when it's gotten so big that it's like personally you two cannot get along and you're still trying to bring HR into this. Like, no, that is not, again, we got to break down and tell y'all the purpose of HR because this ain't it.
It's to plan parties, Jasmine, and to boost morale.
And that ain't, I can't boost morale when you over here making me feel like I'm about to pull my hair out because you can't speak to the owner, the other owner.
We'll just have a party. We'll just have a party and then everyone will be fine. Everyone will be happy.
Is HR allowed to drink at said party?
You know how I feel about that. The answer is yes.
In this instance, it's going to be needed.
Yeah, for sure.
So the last thing we want to tell you all about tonight, I want to discuss, we also asked about exiting a toxic environment. And so we talked about, some toxic and red. Is that Kitty?
Yeah. Let me let her out.
So we talked about two things, and like I said, we're going to keep this topic going because we got a number of more responses that are waiting to be addressed. Some that are extremely heavy. I mean, like this is big information, but we got some heavier ones coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned, for sure. But we also talked about exiting, and we got one great response. Well, we got some good responses, but this is one that I feel like it keeps people hopeful and keeps people going. Is they said, it was such a relief and it was the best thing that I ever did. And honestly, that's just like when we talked about earlier in the episode, is getting that weight off of your back. It's a different type of tired, to be tired because you're working hard for the employees versus working hard to keep your mental health or physical health in check because the organization has stretched you out to the max especially over petty things that are red flags, unfortunately. But sometimes we do have to see how red that flag is going to get when it comes to certain situations, because sometimes you just have to deal with something in order to keep your title or keep the money coming in to feed your family. But seeing that someone said that it was the best decision that they could have ever made, I really felt like that's something that needs to be said, because we can talk about it being good, but this is something that comes from someone that's not just the two of us sitting here griping all the time about workplaces.
Who's griping? What? Listen, no, I mean, I think that it's great that you pulled that one out and you shared it. And I really look forward to the day when everyone who shared a toxic workplace story with us can say that they did that and that they experienced that feeling. And I really am hopeful that that happens, and it happens for everyone soon, because we heard from far too many people that they're still in a toxic workplace. So I hope that, you sharing that feeling that that person had is inspiring and hopeful for everyone who is listening. But we haven't really figured out how we can help, but we thought sharing stories, like you said, so you're not alone. Not that that changes anything, but you're not alone. You're not the only one. We're here for you, because I don't want anyone to feel like that dread and that anxiety and that just crippling, I don't want to go in today. I don't want to deal with my boss, or I don't want to deal with my coworker, like wherever the root of that toxicity is. We will talk to you. We will look for resources for you. We will keep making these videos of everything that people are sharing with us. We will try to connect you with other people. But unfortunately, far too many of us have been there. And so for those of us who have already gotten out of a toxic workplace, if you have any advice for anyone who is in a similar position to the stories that we shared tonight, or if you have your hopeful message too that you can share, please put it in the comments. Please share it with us so we can share that with everyone else. But I really want to see everyone get out of these toxic workplaces, because life is too short. It's just too short.
We got to get everyone out, and not only get people out of these organizations, but also help these organizations see where they're going wrong, because sometimes they may know what they're doing that is wrong, but sometimes they don't understand the depth of what they're doing that is wrong. And so sometimes you have to call it out and be honest. And that
Listen,
always
I
can't
stay
happen.
ready. I stay ready to call out a toxic workplace. So I also know that some places just won't change, but I stay ready. I have that kind of
Exactly.
I don't give a shit confidence. I'll take my
Exactly.
I really do. I really do though.
So, like we said, send us an email at bakedhr@gmail.com to let us know if there's something you want us to talk about. Let us know if there's something that we can do to help you. We have, between the two of us, we have a great network, not only in Alabama, but also around the world.
Globally, we have a global network.
So please reach out to us. We will try to help as best as we can. Make sure you are following us on Instagram at BakedHR. Like we said, we go live every Sunday, or pretty much every Sunday
Most Sundays.
at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we just talk about random things, or sometimes we start talking about what you're going to see in a full episode on Wednesdays. When you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you'll get a full episode on every Wednesday dropping. And make sure you like and hit the notification bell. So tonight we started the toxic workplaces, and we're going to keep the conversation going. We want to thank you all so very much for sharing your stories with us. We know it is not easy. We know that unfortunately some people are still in those environments, and we are here to help in any way possible. So until next time, we will see you all later.
Bye.